Jeffrey lived in a small town called Willow Creek. He was a proud man. He thought he was better than everyone else. His house sat on a hill overlooking the town. He liked to look down on everyone. Jeffrey wanted a son, someone to carry on his name, but no woman would marry him. They said he was too full of himself. He scoffed at them. He didn't need anyone. He would have a son, his way. One night, a storm raged outside. The wind howled like a hungry wolf. Rain lashed against Jeffrey's windows. He sat by the fire, a scowl on his face. He was alone, as always. Suddenly a knock came at the door. It was strange. No one visited in such a storm. Jeffrey cautiously approached the door. He peered through the peephole. 5 figures stood on his porch. Their faces were hidden by dark hoods. Jeffrey opened the door a crack. "Who are you?" he demanded. The figures said nothing. They pushed their way inside. The air grew cold. Jeffrey shivered. He backed away from the strangers. They were tall and imposing. Their eyes glowed faintly beneath their hoods. Jeffrey felt a chill run down his spine. What did they want?
"We know your desire," one of the figures rasped. Its voice was like dry leaves crunching underfoot.
Jeffrey's heart pounded in his chest. How did they know about his wish for a son? The figures gathered around Jeffrey. Their presence seemed to suck the air from the room. He felt trapped, suffocated by their unseen gazes. Fear, a foreign feeling to Jeffrey, began to creep into his heart.
"We can grant you a child," another figure hissed.
"Simple," the first figure croaked. "You must never seek to know our true nature. Agree to this, and the child is yours." Narrator. Jeffrey's eyes widened. Could this be true? Could these strange beings really give him what he craved? "Jeffrey, what is the price?" Jeffrey asked, his voice barely a whisper. He knew magic always came with a price, but his desire for an heir outweighed his apprehension.
The figures waited, their silence heavy and expectant. Jeffrey hesitated. The request was strange, unsettling. But a child, his own flesh and blood, he made his choice. "Jeffrey, I agree," he said, his voice firm, masking the tremor in his soul. The figures gathered in a circle. They began to chant in a language Jeffrey didn't understand. The sound sent chills down his spine. The air crackled with unseen energy. A swirling vortex of darkness formed in the center of the circle. Jeffrey watched, both terrified and mesmerized. From the darkness, a small form emerged. It was a baby boy, wrapped in a dark blanket. The child looked up at Jeffrey with eyes full of unsettling wisdom. He felt a pang of unease. This child was not what he expected.
"He is yours," the first figure rasped.
The chanting ceased. The figures vanished as quickly as they appeared. Jeffrey was left alone with the child, and a growing sense of dread. Section 5. The child's true form. Jeffrey named the child Damien. He tried to ignore the strange feeling he had about the boy. Damien grew at an alarming rate. Soon he was the size of a 5-year-old. Damien never cried. He never smiled. He only stared at Jeffrey with those knowing eyes. The townspeople were afraid of Damien. They avoided him at all costs. One night, Jeffrey awoke to a strange sound coming from Damien's room. It was a low growl, guttural and menacing. He crept towards the room, his heart pounding. He threw open the door. The room was bathed in an eerie red light, and standing in the center was not his son. It was a creature of nightmare. Horns sprouted from its head. Its eyes burned with hellfire. The demon child grinned, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Jeffrey stumbled back, his breath catching in his throat. This thing, this monster, was his son? The realization hit him like a physical blow. He had been tricked.
The demon child chuckled, a sound that scraped against Jeffrey's bones. "You sought to unveil our secret, father," it hissed, its voice dripping with venom. "Now you shall face the consequences."
Panic seized Jeffrey. He turned and ran, his mind reeling. He had made a terrible mistake. He had invited evil into his home, into his life, and now it was too late to stop it. The demon child stalked after him, its laughter echoing through the house. Jeffrey could feel its hot, fetid breath on his neck. He knew with chilling certainty that he would not escape this night alive. Jeffrey's pride, once his defining trait, crumbled in the face of true terror. He had been so blinded by his own desires that he had failed to see the danger lurking beneath the surface. The demon child caught him, its claws digging into his back. Jeffrey cried out in pain as he was dragged back towards the creature that was supposed to be his son.
"Foolish mortal," the demon child hissed, its voice filled with disdain. "You dared to believe you could control powers beyond your comprehension." It leaned close, its fiery breath scorching Jeffrey's skin.
Jeffrey closed his eyes, accepting his fate. His last thought was of regret. Regret for his arrogance, his blindness, his insatiable pride that had led him to this gruesome end. Section 8, Whispers in the Wind. News of Jeffrey's demise spread through Willow Creek like wildfire. The townsfolk, though wary of Jeffrey in life, were horrified by his gruesome end. Whispers of the demon child echoed through the once peaceful streets. Fear gripped the town. Parents kept their children indoors, afraid of the creature that stalked the night. The once vibrant community became shrouded in an oppressive silence, punctuated only by the howling wind. Strangers arrived in Willow Creek, drawn by rumors of the demon child. They came seeking answers, seeking power, seeking to exploit the chaos for their own gain. But none found what they sought. The demon child, now free from its father's control, roamed the night, its laughter a haunting reminder of the price of pride and the danger of unchecked ambition. Section 9. A Town Forever Changed. Willow Creek, once a beacon of tranquility, became a ghost town. The townsfolk who could, fled, seeking refuge from the growing darkness. Those who remained lived in fear, their lives irrevocably altered. The once bustling market square stood deserted, stalls overturned, goods scattered. The laughter of children playing, once a common sound, was replaced by an eerie silence. The church, once a place of solace and hope, stood empty, its doors bolted shut. The priest, his faith shaken by the horrors he had witnessed, had abandoned his post, leaving the townsfolk to face their fears alone. Willow Creek, once a symbol of rural peace and simplicity, became a chilling testament to the consequences of unchecked ambition and the eternal battle between good and evil. Section 10. The Shadow over Willow Creek. Years passed, but the memory of the demon child lingered over Willow Creek like a curse. The town never fully recovered from the horrors it had endured. Its name became synonymous with tragedy and despair. Travelers avoided the town, warned of the evil that still lingered there. Those who dared to enter spoke of strange occurrences, of whispers carried on the wind, of fleeting glimpses of a shadowy figure lurking in the shadows. The demon child became a local legend, a cautionary tale whispered around campfires and shared in hushed tones. It served as a stark reminder of the fragility of life, the power of belief, and the importance of heeding the warnings of the past. Willow Creek remained trapped in its own personal purgatory, a stark monument to the devastating consequences of one man's pride and the insidious nature of unchecked desire. Section 11. Beware the Open Door. The story of Jeffrey and the demon child serves as a warning for us all. A warning to be wary of those who offer us things too good to be true. A warning to control our desires lest they consume us. For in our eagerness to achieve our goals, we often overlook the potential consequences. We fail to see the dangers lurking beneath the surface, the hidden costs of our ambitions. The world is full of strangers, some with good intentions, others with hearts filled with darkness. We must be careful who we allow into our lives, who we trust with our deepest desires. For the door to our hearts, once opened, can be difficult to close, and the price of a single misstep can echo through generations. Remember the tale of Willow Creek, remember the demon child, and beware the open door.